the last thing I'll say about Pat Bev, because like I said, I think this is almost entirely about Pat Bev being a hype man. I don't think it's any real condemnation on the Sixers and their culture and their players. The only, if he did have someone in mind, I can't imagine it would be Kelly, just because Kelly's not relevant enough to have this kind of discourse around and go on another show and disparage. The only one it could possibly be realistically is Embiid, because of how important he is and the volume of shots and possessions he uses. And I think there will be a lot of people who say clearly he's stat padding because of the 35-10 streak. And I think he cared about the streak. But if he was just a pure stat pattern...
And look, I criticized him pretty hard for the couple examples that we thought were dubious.
But if he was a true stat patter, he doesn't sit out of 12 fourth quarters or whatever absurd number it is. He had a chance to put up big numbers in a lot of games that he just opted out of. Do I think he cared about the streak? Yes. Do I think he cares about his stats? Yes. But he also cares about winning. So I don't think, like I said, I think this is mostly just Pat Bev trying to be a hype man and that being his natural personality.
I just think there's been a really disingenuous push for people to paint Embiid. A lot of it is the Jokic contingent, also just people who don't like Joel for various reasons. He's been very good.
When you're a troll, that happens. That's sort of why Kyle annoys me every now and then.
But people have tried to paint him as, he's the guy who cares about the MVP and individual stats, and Jokic is and there are some more insidious reasons behind that we don't have to get into. But there's also just the stupid, petty arguments among fan bases. And it has never been an either or thing, right?
Yeah.
You can care about individual success and still care about winning and the championship and all that more than anything else. In fact, I would say that's probably true of all of us. It's probably true of everyone on the Sixers. We all in our careers want to succeed as much as we can individually.
100%.
You guys don't pay my bills. You don't support my family, all that. So my individual success matters to me. But because we're part of a team and the team success propels all of us, we all buy in. We play our roles. We put our heads together. We say, hey, we're going to do this, this, this. That's how team sports and team operations work, right? You try to harness the best of what every individual has to offer. The best of what Joel Embiid has to offer is giving him the fucking ball and letting him score 35 points a night and ending the game in 3 quarters against these bad teams so that everybody can get rest, everybody can get better, and they can pad these wins, move up the standings, and be as good as they can be so that when they get to the playoffs, if he hadn't gotten hurt, they would have been a 2 seed, a 3 seed, and you get easier matchups in the first round, easier matchups in the second round. Individual success in sports leads to team success. They're not a completely divorced thing. And I've said this 150 times over the last couple years as the Jokic and Embiid stuff has gotten as ugly as it has.
And look,
Joel caring about winning the MVP is not a knock on him. Joel coming from where he came from, where he picked up the sport as a teenager and moves to America. He's hurt for 2 years. His brother dies at home while he's, in America going through rehab and going through some real personal trauma as it is. For him to get to that level took a level of work and pride in his personal individual craft that of course you're going to care about how you're compared to Jokic and Durant and Giannis and Tatum and Steph and every single one of these guys. So I just yes, Joel cares about stats. So do all these fucking guys, including Nikola Jokic, even though he won't say it publicly. You don't become as good as these guys are without caring about individual production. It's a stupid conversation.
You know who cared about accolades? Michael fucking Jordan cared about accolades.
Every single day.
You know who won a little bit? Michael Jordan won a little bit. So did Kobe Bryant. So did almost everyone else who has done it. Yeah.
Yeah, it always happens. Whenever Pat Bev is, released, let's go back to the Los Angeles Lakers last season. He felt like he was going to a good team. Yes, he felt like he was going to a good team, but he also felt like at some point he should have been on the floor more. So why did he think that? Because he felt like he was just as good, if not better, than some getting minutes in front of him. So as a result, he wanted to be bought out or traded. He got traded, didn't like the situation, buy me out, I want to go start. What is that? That's your individual goal there.
It's pride.
To be as best as you can be while helping the team. But again, you can be first while helping the team. And he felt like he deserved minutes here. He feels like he deserves minutes in Milwaukee. And that's what happens in professional sports. That's what happens with anybody that has any kind of way you go about your business of want to be competitive in general, whatever your job is, whether you want to be elevated from one role to the next role to the next role, because again, you're competing with others and you feel like you're just as good, if not better, than what the other person is doing. And Pat Beverly is no different, none at all. And that's where the individual stuff comes in. He did the same thing when he was here. He felt like he should have been on the floor. And once Daryl Morey shared the story, and he even shared the story of understanding that his role was going to change at the deadline with whoever they acquired. Now, Campaign and Kyle Lowry, what did he say? He wanted out. Why? Because he felt like most likely
the minutes were better than
them. His minutes are going down. I don't want to be
individual
here.
focus.
That's an individual thing, exactly. So everybody has it. Everyone has it in them. It may not be. We may not blurt it out the same way as Pat Beverly. Like you said, Nikola Jokic goes at it differently than Joel Embiid because that's his personality. But everyone wants to be the best, which is why the argument for Joel Embiid and MVP was always stupid on the other side, because who doesn't want to be recognized as the best in their profession, in their field, especially one that's put in front of all of us to see it on a daily basis. He's the best. He's the best. Well, you forgot my name. Why am I not the best?
It's the nature of basketball,
it is,
right?
It is. What are you playing for? To win. And when you win, you get the accolades, but you also say, you know what? I was the best. I will say Tyrese Maxey is the franchise. We all know who the franchise is, don't we? But I want to say Tyrese because, I think Tyrese is that good. But that's just my 2 cents of it all.
But also, what's some of the best feeling you get in basketball? Is you get somebody in front of you, you line them up, and you just beat that guy.
I'm going to cook this dude.
You make a three in somebody's eye, you cross them over, you get to the rim and score, you embarrass them. Like, the biggest reactions that happen during basketball games is when you drop somebody with a crossover and make a shot, or you dunk on somebody. That is not a team thing. That is a moment of individual brilliance. It's why I love basketball, because there is that dichotomy at all times, right? Like, to win a championship, yes, you need all 8 to 10 guys in that rotation. You need the star bought into a system. You need to do all that stuff. You also have individual guys who can drag 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 people at a time through tough stretches to win a title. You need both. It's my favorite part of it. Like, we can look at football, and Patrick Mahomes has been an exception, right? Like, just having him has been enough that, like, the Chiefs reload and they do different things, you win. And Tom Brady was an exception as well. Mm-hmm. But generally, and you could have even seen it in Brady's career, when the offensive line breaks down, he's fucked. It doesn't matter how good Tom Brady was. It doesn't matter how good Patrick Mahomes is. You need to have the 5 guys, the tight end, the wide receiver, the running back, all that. And that's a more pronounced, like, all team, all the time type of sport. So it's part of why I love basketball, is that you get all of it at the same time.
We all silly like the mayor.